Good evening, everyone. I am Yasmin Khatun, your host for the evening. I welcome everyone present here to today's knowledge discussion organized by Public Relations Society of India, Kolkata chapter. PRSI is the National Association of PR Practitioners. The world is going through a period of uncertainty. Today's knowledge discussion on the topic titled Breaking Invisible Barriers and Navigating the Road of Uncertainty will guide us to overcome this challenging time. A visually challenged achiever, he has been conferred with many awards such as National Award constituted by President of India, State Role Model Award, Extraordinary Citizen of Kolkata Award, United Nations Award, and many more. He has been he has over 15 years of experience working in HR consulting and e-governance domain and has worked on national prestigious assignments such as Aadhaar enrollment design, Smart City, Inclusion Initiative for Government of India and other important organizations. He has received his primary, secondary, and partial college education from United States. He became the first blind commerce graduate from St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, first blind MBA HR from Symbiosis SCM HRD Pune, and was instrumental in creating reservation quota for persons with disability across Indian university and colleges, including IITs, IIMs in 2000. He firmly believes in lighting a candle rather than cursing the darkness. Welcome, sir, to our virtual platform for taking the session forward. I invite our guest for this evening, Mr. Asif Iqbal. I am pleased to inform you that Mr. Shobhajit Mahapatra, Chairman PRSI Kolkata chapter, will be in conversation with Mr. Asif Iqbal. Now the floor is yours, Mr. Asif Iqbal, the man of the evening, the man of the moment. Over to you.
Thank you, Yasmin, for wonderful introductions. And thank you, Public Relations Society of India, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to address you. And I'm indeed grateful to my friends across the world who's watching me live on YouTube right now, and my friends across the country who's actually taken the time and being there. And it's my third interaction with PRSI, and grateful to Mr. Mahapatra for again blessing me with this opportunity. Well, today I want to talk about uncertainty. We are all living in challenging, trying times. We're all, globally, the world over is battling a pandemic, and everyone is so uncertain, so we're living in a volatile, complexities, ambiguity world. But let me tell you that I have been experiencing the invisible barriers for over many, many years. And I have been, one of the biggest challenge or barriers of invisible barriers is mindset. So let me share some personal stories, and perhaps that will probably attempt to make you feel what it is like being going through a constantly and battling invisible barriers. So when I was growing up in a small town called Bhagalpur, Bihar, I only had 50% of my eyesight. I, just like everyone else, I went to normal school, but the only thing different was that I could not see the blackboard. I could not read out the textbooks because it was in regular print because I could not see them. When I used to come home, I just like everyone else, I love playing cricket, but I could never see the ball. And I would always be the last person to pick on a cricket team because the team that would choose me would sure shot lose. Well, things were so difficult that I started to believe that I was not meant for learning. Even though it was the best school in town, but still the teachers, they did not know how to teach with a child, how to teach a child who has vision problems, who cannot see very well. Well, the principal started to call my fathers and my uncle and started to demand that please take this child away as he is ruining his educational environment. You know, the family, the close friends and neighbors, they used to start feel sorry for my parents because their perception was that the person who cannot see very well is probably not going to be anything in life. But friends, God has planned for each one of us. Fortunately, I went to the United States at the age of 11 years old. And of course, back home, because I believed that I was not capable of learning, I never took interest towards my studies. And as a result, I failed in class 2. I had to repeat a year. I failed in class 4. I had to repeat a year. Sadly, principals was ready to give transfer certificate. Always called my uncles and fathers and humiliated, and then they would plead and appeal to them to take me back. But nothing seemed to change. And then, you know, fortunately, I went to the United States at the age of 11 years, could not even speak English, had to learn new languages, new cultures. But before I go on, I wanted to show that the society's perception was that I was a liability. I was incapable. I was good for nothing. But today, the faith is different. And we would request you to watch video number 1, which is a brief profile of what I do. Can we have the video number 1, please?
Muhammad Asif Iqbal could not see well from birth. He turned completely blind at the age of 16. But he is one such person who believes that the only disability a person can have is a bad attitude. He received his earlier education in United States and went on to learn how to use a computer through voice-activated software. He became the first blind commerce graduate from St. Xavier's College, Calcutta, and then the first blind MBA in HR from Symbiosis SCMHRD, Pune. Not only did he help himself, but was instrumental in creating reservation quota for disabled across IIMs, IITs, and all government universities in India. Presently, he is the Associate Director at PwC. In his 14 years span of career, he had designed and implemented social inclusion strategy for Aadhaar, accessible income tax, accessible telecom under TRI, etc. And in order to promote this digital inclusion agenda, he has met former President of India, late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, and various other eminent personalities. He has also been appointed as the digital inclusion expert for Smart City project under the Government of India, with the mission to empower the disabled technologically. He has given lectures regarding its diversity and inclusion at CII, National HRD Network, Society for Human Resource Management, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ASSOCHAM, and NASSCOM. He is honored with various awards such as the National Award, West Bengal State Role Model Award, Extraordinary Citizen of Kolkata Award, etc. Recently, he delivered a TED Talk on winning solution for disabled. Last year, he ran 12 numbers of 10-kilometer marathons and was recognized by Sachin Tendulkar for his initiative. This year, he is preparing for 21-kilometer marathon. He would like to ignite minds of the youth and influence their thought process of being inclusive in their workforce, along with the universal design of products and services. He looks forward in contributing to the nation building and exploring partnership for collaborations to take his mission of strong inclusive India, which offers opportunity for all.
Which is always a part of fighting the invisible barriers or enemies. So I was in my MBA, you know, in the second year and getting ready for my placements. No, I was on my summer internship, and I got a news that the director that who took me in, he's no longer in SMHRD. So again, I had this feeling that, hey, what should I do? I mean, the new directors who will be coming to Symbiosis, he will have millions on his priority list, but he would not have have me on his priority list in terms of getting me placed. So will I go home without a placement? Will my future be uncertain? What about my education loan, which I took? There are a series of questions which kind of conquered my mind, and I didn't know what to do. But I knew one thing, that I had to do something about it. Just like everyone else, I sat in the campus, and I recall, I was very excited because my CV was shortlisted. But then when I got called for the group discussions and personal interview, unfortunately, they handed out a hard copy printout. And a hard copy printout, unfortunately, I could not see them. So one of my MBA batchmates said, "Sir, can you give him a soft copy so he can use his computer to read and then probably reply?" And the lady was taken aback. He said, "Why?" And he said, "Okay, he cannot see." The recruitment lady said, "Okay, if we cannot see, you should have told us first. We would not never have even um, sorted out recruited his CV, and I but still she let me in, and the process went on, and I made it to the interview. She said, "Listen, I have an empathy with you, but I don't think I can hire you, even though you meet all the parameters, because I have not taken permission from my bosses to hire people with disability." Of course, I was disheartened. I didn't know what to do, and then another you know placements I sat through, and then when I would made it to the final round, the interview, and it said, "Oh, I wish you would have told me that you could not see. I would have never even came this far." And beside, I don't know how my line managers is going to be. So I was absolutely disheartened. I didn't know what is my future going to be. I didn't want to go home without an employment opportunities, without a placement, because I had to pay a loan. So but see, again, I am a firm believer of creating your own opportunity, because that would lead creating relationship that would lead to winning opportunities. And I was always used to read newspaper online, and I still read Telegraph, and I've been reading Telegraph for the last, I think, 20-25 years or so. Um, and so I read that there was an event called Infocom. So I just, immediately wrote to the organizers and said, "Can I get a slot to speak on IT impact on disabled?" And and then I also proposed my new director whether he would allow me to go in, and he readily agreed, and he said, "Please go in." And I gave a presentation, and I started, I think, the second day of the conference, Infocom. It was the biggest IT exposition, I think still is. and it was organized by ABP and NASCOM. And in the audience, Managing Director Mr. Rupan Roy of PwC was also a part of that. Then after the presentation, I went to kind of say hello to him, and he said, "Would you like to come and work for us? We have a large setup here in Calcutta." I was like overjoyed because I thought the great opportunity came, and I said, "Of course, sir." Then I went back to Pune as part of the second year, and then when I checked my email, and I also had a pre-placement offer from P&O Netloyd, which was a shipping company, and that the posting was in Mumbai, but I still wanted. I was kind of more tilting toward Mumbai shipping company because that's where I did my summer internship. But then again, God has its own way of explaining it to you, and then unfortunately, I lost my brother-in-law, and at that time, my family was going through a series of crises, and I thought, let me go back, to my home city and join PwC. So that's how I landed up with PwC, and I have been still with PwC. But before going into conversation with Mr. Mahapatro, I would like to show video 2, and this would actually explains how I work with the technology on my laptop and cell phone. Can we have the video number 2, please?
Hi, my name is Mohammed Asif Iqbal. I'm a blind PwC professional working for PwC India as a senior manager in the advisory practices. I lost my eyesight at the age of 16, but nevertheless, I became the first blind commerce graduate from St. Xavier's College, Calcutta, first one to do an MBA HR, and was instrumental in creating reservation quota for the disabled across IIMs and IITs and all government-aided Indian universities and colleges. Today, I'd like to demonstrate the power of screen reader, which is an assistive technology. And I'm just using a normal laptop, and the only thing different it's equipped with the screen readers, and I'd like to demonstrate the power and as well as the challenges. So,
4:33 p.m. Alt tab, power of ordinary people. Alt tab, snapshot Muhammad Asif Iqbal. Snap, alt space, menu, system X, leaving menus, edit.
So now this actually it's reading it out, and it can be customized. So it's a Microsoft Word applications, and of course now let me go back to the Internet Explorer, and
enter Internet Explorer,
and
blank page.
It works really beautifully.
Home, Google Finance, Google G. Enter leaving menus, new tab page, address and search using bin edit about blank, alt plus D.
As I'm scheduled to deliver a session at Global Conference in Cyberspace, so I'm just
search edit. Enter region search edit GCCS 2017 GCCS 2017.
It tells me everything, and yes, it's speaking fast, but the voice can be customized. While this gets loaded, let me just show it to you how I work on the email.
Snapshot Muhammad Asif, alt tab, global conference, alt tab, power of ordinary, alt tab, inbox dash outlook, data file dash outlook.
Okay, let me just send a quick mail.
Control N, untitled dash message left, Al-Asniya tab, Al-Tab, PR underline Verma tab, PR underline tab, subject edit, alt plus U, PRESENTATION, present A, T at GCCS, GCCS 2017. 2017 tab message edit thing POSAIBLE possible enter.
Okay, so
inbox dash outlook.
I have sent an email. It reads out emails. Now I would like to highlight the challenges part of it. Like sometimes it has a visual capture, which is not possible. Then if I have to book a ticket, so sometimes the calendars can only be navigated through the mouse and not a keyboard. And that's a big challenge. Okay, now here I'm not able to put this in because it only allows the keyboard. So this is the big challenge that it has. It would be a frustrating experience to ask someone to help me out. This worked really well on the Excel sheet. So it tells you exactly which row you are on, which reference you are in, right? And I do not use a mouse, I use a keyboard. Where it is a challenge is it does not read the graphics or the components, but it...
Slide 4, Governor Award. Slide 5, National Award. National DSC underline.
Now I'd like to take this opportunity to give you a perfect example of universal access, an iPhone or high-end Android. which is made for everyone, and people like us who cannot see can actually use it out of the self. And I'd just like to demonstrate, even though it's a touch thing. So wherever I put my finger on it, it will,
Maps.
it says map,
Weather.
weather,
iBooks.
iBook, clock,
App Store. Home.
home,
Health.
health.
Feel.
There are accessible apps and inaccessible. If you do not design with an access in mind, it will not be able to use by persons with disability. Let me quickly show you how. Okay, now I'd like to show you how I use the camera,
Flash.
and I'm just going to take a picture.
View one face. Take picture.
One face told me, and I have taken the picture. Now I'd like to demonstrate the sophisticated app which is designed for blind and visually impaired. It's called KNFV Reader. So how do I access a hard copy?
Health.
Let me just show you.
Home. KNFB Reader.
So I have launched an app, and now I need to know whether my camera is accessing the entire document or not.
File Explorer. Setting. Camera. Tilt row degrees.
The right edge, top edge, it's read. So the picture should come quad.
Take picture.
Take picture. Now
Play.
it has entirely reading there, and I can save it. I can do whatever I please. So this is the power of technology, which makes things possible. For most of you, it makes things easy. For people like us, it makes things possible. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you can understand how I work with technology and how I execute my assignment as PwC professionals. But now I think let us get into a conversation with Mr. Mahapatra. So over to you.
Uh, it's really nice. We have been meeting you today virtually, and before that, it was physical meeting. And your life journey, we have heard so many times. Every time it gives us inspiration. So I think in future also your journey, your storytelling will not only inspire us, it will inspire many people. See, you have already demonstrated that determination, mental strength, challenges, barrier, all these things are not at all a hurdle to you. You have already shown that technology assisted so many things you use. So that is why you have made your life simpler. You have never used your disability for anything. You have achieved by showing your determination and everything. And now, as you told me, because I was not also prepared, but today morning you told that I want to have conversation with someone, and then I thought that whom can I tell that Asif wants conversation. Then I told, okay, I will only do, and you can understand from the branding it was not prepared. So my first question to you: when and where did you encounter your first invisible barrier? We want that story which will inspire us.
Sir, I think as I told you, sir, that there was a moment of my life when I had 50% of the eyesight. But I think it was in my sophomore year when I was 16 years old in class 10. I started to experience a rapid deterioration in my sight. So from 50%, it started to go to absolutely like zero. So, sir, if you can imagine, you're being in a room, there is a light bulb, and light bulb is all of a sudden like dimming, dimming, dimming till it is completely pitch black. And then you have the horrifying experience. You cannot, I could had some functional vision. I could see the car or I could see the face, but not the details. But all of a sudden, it's like everything turned black. And that was extremely, extremely difficult. And I mean, again, people back home, and this happened when I was in the United States. So people back home, I remember them saying, okay, eyes is the most precious thing in the world, and without eyes, you cannot function. And all of a sudden, they actually started to haunt you, horrify you, and overwhelm you, and you start to believe that maybe I cannot survive this harsh world without my eyesight. And then I became angry. I became angry at the world. I started to question God. Why me? Why is this happening to me? You could have taken eyesight, of all the people or people who has an evil intent, but why me? I started to feel sorry, and I don't know. I started to lose hopes. I just thought, and then I had started hallucinating that okay, and I started to believe that my eyesight will be all right. God will do a miracle, and my eyesight will be restored. I waited. People would try to tell me. My mom, who's my white American aunt, and she would always tell me, "Honey, your eyes do not work, but you have a beautiful brain. Why don't you make the most utility out of the limited resources you have?" But nothing in the world seemed to convince me that I could survive. And I was absolutely sinking into depression. And I even lost, will to live. And I even, tried to attempt suicide, but thank God I failed. And I remember my special teacher, he was saying to Asif, there are millions and millions of people around the world who are living without eyesight, and they're doing wonders. They have their own identity of their own. But all of that, it all seems like a gyan, sir. And he was trying to teach me all those skill sets, like how to use a computer without your eyesight, how to cross the street without your eyesight, how to fold your clothes, how to iron your clothes, how to do your laundry, how to wash utensils, all those skills. But I did not want to accept the fact that this is going to happen. I was waiting for that miracle, but sadly, that miracle never happened. And one day, I remember my teacher. He actually got irritated with me, and he said exactly these two things. Hey, Asif, you have two choices. A, accept the fact you're going blind, be nothing, be no one, be miserable. B, accept the fact you're going blind, learn alternative techniques to overcome them, and do wonders. And that clicked. I started to believe that I can survive without my eyesight. I started to believe that yes, I can still achieve academic excellence. And I started to believe, yes, I am on my own path to create my own identity. And that's how I actually got out of the depressions. And I was once again excited about life, and was on a mission to create my own path of own identity, sir. Over to you, sir.
It's really inspiring. You
Thank
not only ignited your mind, you ignited the minds of several people. And I think during this course of journey, I do not exactly remember how old are you, and I do not like to embarrass you here in this live show. But during this journey, life journey, I think relationship became an important part of your life. And how did you build those relationships which made you to believe that yes, I can do, yes, I can do, yes, I can do?
Absolutely, sir. I think we all are PR professionals or PR practitioners, because I think without relationship we would nothing. I mean, whether you know, okay, we may be introvert or extrovert, but still we have to rely on relationship. Let me give you another example, sir. Actually, uh, just a recent example during the lockdown. I didn't have time to prepare, and we didn't have food and essential items stock, which only lasted for a week. Then after a week, the panic struck me, and then I asked my neighbors for assistance and the society members, and thanks to them, I was able to get my food and essential items. But I knew deep down that this is not going to be a sustainable solution. So, sir, just like everyone else, I pick up the app, Big Baskets, Grofers, Spencers, but sadly, they did not integrate universal design. What that means is they did not design with an access in mind, so people like me who cannot see, who cannot hear, or who cannot move can use them with technology which has shown it to you. Because probably because they are not aware, or they probably are under the impression that there was no market about it. So just imagine my fate, that I was struck. I didn't want to rely, constantly asking people for help, even though I had technology which can make me independent, but I couldn't. But then I relied on one relationship. I was traveling on PwC engagement to Mumbai from Calcutta, and I was sitting right next to the More CEO, Mr. Mohit Khampani, and I just called him up. I called 3 times. I didn't get a reply. Then I sent him a text message, and he was kind enough to give me a call back. So I narrated my ordeal to him, and I said, knowing fully well that More at that time they did not have home delivery. He said, Asif, don't worry, we will be more than happy to deliver groceries and essential items at your doorstep. And thanks to that relationship, even though he was not my client, but he was probably, of course, a client of PwC, but still, that leveraging on that relationship, my problem got solved. Otherwise, it would have been extremely difficult, and it's not sustainable. Over to you, sir.
Your story really, you can compete with your stories. One story after another story. The second story is competing with the first story. The third story, I do not know my next question how you are going to address. See, the world was fighting an invisible enemy pandemic. Okay, and how did you overcome that? Already you narrated that story, how the groceries were, but I think some untold story people can learn from you. And before that, after that, you will address another question: that what inspired you to go for marathon?
Okay, great, sir.
See,
So,
GP Rao, happy seeing Asif speaking on a very relevant topic. I do not know he knows you or not, GP Rao. Flashing on the
yes.
screen.
He's a great friend of mine, sir. Actually, my
Okay, okay.
mentor.
So be happy, and now please address this question.
Okay, wonderful. So, absolutely, the pandemic had my fair share of my struggles. So, just as getting basic things, an ATM, withdrawing cash, as I had, my cash stock was, out of, and then I didn't feel comfortable in sharing, the pain with them. Then, but I'm very grateful to the society where I live, actually. So I placed a request that I need to go down to the ATM, and at least 4 or 5 people actually replied, and I was so happy. And and then I managed to get the cash out. And then the other thing, before I actually share the struggle of my marathon story, I want to play video 3. Can I play video 3, please?
I lost my eyesight when I was 16. I could only see 50%. I was very fortunate, and thanks to my father and my uncle and my aunt, who took me to the United States at the age of 11 years old. There I remember an incident which was like very transformational. I was asked to run a race as part of physical education class, and I was the last one to finish that race. And my teacher called me up and he said, "Son, I know you're the last, but you can do it. You have great potentials." So that kind of inspired me, because I was the last one to finish that race line, but still he was encouraging, and he said, maybe if I try hard, and maybe I can be second last or third last or even fourth last, or even be in the top 40. Toughest phase when I was actually lost all my eyesight, from 50% rapid deterioration to 0%, and then of course it was not easy. I was extremely depressed. I was angry at the world, questioned God, why me? And I didn't want to live, because I felt that living without zero eyesight would be very challenging, no point in living and stuff like that. So, and then I somehow just accepted the fact that I have to live with this for the rest of my life, and I went on. So about a year and a half I was diagnosed with a high blood pressure, hypertension. Then a thought process came to me that, my goodness, I'm only 41 and I still have a long ways to go, family to support, and this is just a starting of all the disease that will enter your body. So I decided, no, health should be a top priority, and I started running. First, I used to run with a holding of people's hand. I would hold on to people's elbow and start running. I keep on practicing 5 kilometers, but then I had a very close friend of mine. He took me to a big park, and there was like a 5.5 kilometers long stretch. And then he asked me, now you'll have to run without holding anybody's hand and just relying on verbal guidance. So I ran for about 50 meters, and then 100 meters, and then I was, a little bit fear I was going, and then slowly I started running 500 meters, 1 kilometers hands-free, and today the feeling is just immense. There are, people talk about multitasking, but somehow I believe that it is inefficiency when you are trying to do multitasking. But what running does is makes you focus. Do focus on one task, close, go on to the next. And whatever I'm trying to do, I can do it with much more focus, much more concentration, and of course with lots of energy. If you do not have health, you will never prosper in career. So I think health is a foundation to any individual's personality. I firmly believe, because God has a plan for each one of us. Ignite your inner self to say, yes, I can. The moment that I have that inner strength, everything will fall in place.
Great, sir.
Told
So
you,
it
no?
all started.
Yes. Now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It all started, sir, about almost 2.5 years ago, sir. Actually, so like I said, I was diagnosed with hypertension, and sir, can you believe it? I was actually 108 kilograms then, but today I'm 83 kilograms. So what happened is, I still have high aspirations. I still want to do a lot for the nations, lot for the community, and all of a sudden I got this, and I couldn't breathe, I couldn't walk. Of course, living in the town of Calcutta, where we have abundance of choices like good fish, good chickens, good muttons, and rolls and samosas. And the most challenging thing still, I would say, is saying no to good food, sir. So I decided that, let me start some kind of a fitness thing, because now, or I'll have to suffer major consequences. I floated a message seeking a volunteer who would accompany with me for walking in the park. Salt Lake is where I live, so in Calcutta. And fortunately, I didn't get any reply. I again posted it on my Facebook, but sadly I couldn't find any volunteers. Then again I posted it on one of other WhatsApp group, and fortunately there was one gentleman, and he readily agreed. Yes, let me do it, and thanks to Raj, his name was Rashid. And then he actually came to pick me up, and together we used to run. There was a big park in Salt Lake called Central Park, and that's where I started walking. And there itself, I would see a lot of people, practicing for running, and I started to think what it would be like if I started actually running. And then in the park itself, I met several nice people, and I remember one gentleman named Manek Das. I met him, and he said, "Okay, you want to run? Let me teach you how to run." So I started holding and running to him. So I used to be very excited. Yes, I ran 100 meters, I ran 200 meters, 300 meters. But sir, let me tell you the truth. I mean, I couldn't even do 100 meters without stopping. I mean, it was like climbing up the hill or Himalayas. It would feel like. And so slowly, and I would hold it, and this would go. I would hold his elbow and start running. and of course I would continue this for 2 kilometers. Then I met another friend of mine, Devinder Singh, and he said, the only way you will get a liberating feeling is if you run by yourself. I said, what do you mean? I said, you have to run by yourself without holding anybody's hand. I said, should I attach a rope or something? I said, no, that won't get you a feeling. The only way to liberate yourself if you start running by yourself. I thought to myself that this is a very crazy idea that he's talking about. Let me see how this can be done. So he took me to a eco park. This is a big park, sir, actually. So he said, okay, now we have a 5.5 kilometer stretch. Nothing will happen. But trust me, sir. I mean, I said, okay, let me try. But sir, after doing it for 100 meters, I would hear the honk of the bus or the truck, which was not even in the service road, but in the main road. I would stop. It would feel like as if the truck or the car would actually ram behind me and they would run me over. Then he again, Devinder would say, "Don't worry, I'm there. First the car will hit me, then you." Again he would ask me to run for 200 meters, 300 meters. Then again, by the bell of rickshaws or even cycle, I would stop because I wasn't confident. I didn't know that. Then he forced me to run, literally forced me to run 500 meters. And then I slowly I started gaining confidence. And then after 500 meters, then I would totally rely on the voice guidance. And that means that I would have, now I run with my friend Dibindu and Bisijit. So they would actually tell me, okay, slight left, slight right, there is a speed bump, there is an alert, there is a bad patch of road, or you need to slow down, you need to speed up, and stuff like that. And sir, I remember I used to do like maybe 5 kilometers, and I thought that would be an achievement. But 5 kilometers I would do like in 50, 55 minutes, and that the timing is very, very pathetic. Then I started practicing and practicing, and fortunately, it point came that I started participating as a part of marathon, and it feels great, to run 10 kilometers. And sir, I'm very happy that I ran 10 kilometers in 80 minutes, which is still not great time, but great time by my standard, because I compare myself with myself. So I have to be better than yesterday, and tomorrow has to be better than today. And that's the yardstick I really like to measure myself. So how it impacted me in Corona and lockdown? Just imagine, sir, like you had your the community gym is closed, your friends cannot come, and of course you're lethargic. Okay, tomorrow I will practice. So what should I do? I mean, if I continue to that, and I was on a mission that thanks to Ajay Pal Singh sir and Ritesh Bori sir, who was my coach during diet, and they said you have to keep practicing and keep your exercise and diet. And of course, lethargic is the biggest invisible barrier at that time. Then I was just standing in my balcony, and I thought to myself, let me start convert this balcony into a temporary workout area. And sir, it was of course boring, very boring to do spot jogging for 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers. Then in the process, I discovered that I downloaded some good 15, 20 books at Kindle. And sir, I'm very happy to note that I gained weight a little bit. And then from February 17, from the lockdowns, I have actually lost at least 11 kgs, sir.
Wonderful.
Uh,
Wonderful.
and before I wanted to show the audience video 4 of my participating in a marathon. Can we have the video 4, please? Great. Sir, so that was
We will
me
take up.
participating
Yeah,
in Tata Steel marathon. I think this was a couple of years back. And over to you, sir.
yeah. We will take one question. Ranjini Shengupta, and she is asking, posted the question in Facebook comment box. What kind of assistive technology you normally rely? What kind of assistive do you mostly rely on?
Okay, wonderful. So, sir, if you recall that video which I showed it to you, that
Yeah, yeah.
technology demo. So, I work with the help of software, talking software on my laptop, which is a screen reader, and then I also rely on similar software for the phone, and I use an iPhone, but Android also has the same solution. So, iPhone has something called voiceover, which is present in all iOS devices, including yours, sir. So suppose if I go to your home and I needed to do something, I can also use your iPad, turn on that software, the voice software, and then I can start using it, and then I can turn it off and give it back to you. So it is a part of the operating systems. It is an integrated part of the operating system. So and of course, I use all the mainstream technology as well. Like because I like to run, and this is one of my hobbies, and I'm preparing for 21K. I also use a smart Apple Watch also, which actually tells me how, and it actually has that audio output. It tells me how many kilometers I ran, how many calories I burned, how many steps, just like any other watch. But unfortunately, there was other watches in the market that does not have a talking features except for Apple product. So that's why I
Thank
went
you.
for Apple, even though it cost a lot.
Thank you. You could afford that thing. Okay,
Yeah.
we will go to another question. See, you are talking about depression. A few minutes back, you were talking
Yes.
about depression. So I think not only once you encountered this depression, number of times I hope. So how did you come out of this depression? What was the technique? And we will have very quick bites because we will have more questions in the show. One quick bite.
Okay, sir. So, sir, again, it is. I'm not saying that nobody will face problems, nobody will face challenges. Of course, Corona has made us realize that health is the top priorities. Everyone, with the economy slow down. Okay, there are low times, sir, but how do I come out of the low times? I'm not saying that every time is great. Well, of course, it seems like, okay, now we cannot do it. But when I look at my past, okay, I have been through worse situation than this. Oh, this was a positive things that I remember. So if I can remember that past gives me strength to combat my challenges for the future, combat my challenges of the present, and gearing up for future, sir. And that's what I believe. I mean, I firmly believe everyone has a fair share of challenges, but it is the perspective how we want to come out of it. And I choose to come out and go out. Of course, it's okay to feel low, it's okay to feel bad, but we also have should take charge in coming out of it. And the only way we can come out is by looking at our past achievements, by past proud moments, by past uh, good achievements. That's it. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. And I will come with another question from my bank, and after that, I will take up this question. That's, I think, you are 42-year-old, I think. So,
Sir, I am
during
43 now.
43, okay. So, I think your birthday is over, otherwise, we could have
Uh,
told you.
sir, it's coming up
Oh,
November
coming up.
29.
Okay, wish you happy birthday in advance. And before that,
Thank
I will ask you one question. Do you have any regrets in your life? Be honest.
Sir, yes, sir. One regret I have actually.
Please.
So it's another story, small story actually, sir. Actually, I was flying for Aadhaar assignment during my PwC engagement from one city to another city. And I was flying alone, and I travel alone, as you know. And the duty manager of that airlines, he saw me walking with my cane, with my stick, and he asked me, "Are you flying alone?" I said, "Yes." But then he told me, pointing fingers at me, "Okay, we will not let you fly alone because it's against DGCA rules." I said, What are you talking about? We are the part of the national committee which actually drafted rules for DGCA. How can that be?" Then he was absolutely adamant. He didn't want to, go, didn't want to listen. And he said, "Okay, put this guy on a standby and let other passenger board. Okay, this blind guy is not supposed to fly." He was very, very arrogant. I don't know why. Then, sir, also started losing my cool. I said, "Okay, okay, why don't you let me?" Then he said, "You'll have to sign a bond that, which states that anything that happens to you, you would be responsible." I said, "Sir, do you make other people sign a bond? Or other guests sign a bond?" He said, "No, nothing." Then I was, the clock was ticking, and they were always going to close the boarding, and I had no choice. I signed the bond, and he was refusing to give me the Xerox copy of it. Then, fortunately, the passengers behind me who was standing in the queue, they shouted back at him, and they make sure that I got that form. And after I did my assignment, came back to my base location, which was Calcutta. And then I immediately looked up again. I told in the beginning that I am a PR professionals in heart, and I immediately, looked up on the DGCA website, and there was a phone number of mentioned of the residence number was mentioned on that website. And I called up the director general, and I spoke to his wife, narrated the entire incident. And his wife, Mr. Bharat Bhushan, I think Mrs. Bharat Bhushan, she was so kind, and she said, "Immediately you write an email and call up the office tomorrow, and tell his secretary I told you to call him up." And so I did that, and you call me back at the same time, and I'll make you speak to my husband. Then I did that, and I spoke to her husband, and he said, "Don't worry, we'll do something." Second day, no calls. Third day, I got a phone call from the DGCA. They said they have launched an investigations into this incident, and CEO of that airline was called. And then initially, that they found that guy, and he didn't confess. He said the passenger is trying to fabricate, trying to seek compensation. Then the director general, sir, got really, really angry, and he said, "Okay, if he's trying to cheat, then how come this signature?" Then eventually he was confessed, and the airline terminated his job. So that's a regret that I had. I should have made clear that, okay, he made a mistake, but he should not have lost job, because losing job, especially now, when I think back, that is very difficult on the entire family just for one mistakes. Over to you, sir.
It's really touching. I thought of asking you so many questions, but this confession is really, really great. And see, you are always mentioning about your relationship. You are a PR person by heart, in mind, in subconscious mind. So I consider yourself as a PR practitioner right now. And as PR practitioner, 43-year-old Asif Iqbal, advice to the young generation communication professional. What will be your advice?
Sir, for young man, please open your eyes. Do not underestimate anyone. Create relationship with everyone in your surroundings, whether it is the doorman, whether it is the security guard, whether it is a clerk. Remember, at the end of the day, we are all human beings. And, if you give respect, it will come back to you. And this is the only thing, because I think it has worked wonders in my things. If I stay in a hotel, I'll make sure that I say thank you, even to the person who is sweeping my floor or who is cleaning my room, and I will make sure start conversation, just to trying to develop relations with him, even though I know that he may not, assist me in my future goals, but still that human tendency, because that relationship really, really pays off, in getting the best of service. Not only that, in terms of getting best of service, you also feel good internally that I have been a good human being. At the end of the day, you have to sleep with yourself. Over to you, sir.
Very touching words. And see, we are at almost the end of our show. And may I ask you something personal?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes,
So,
sir.
apart from your adventure, I don't call it venture or office or your professionalism, how do you pass your family time? What are the secrets? How you enjoy your family? Huh? Tell us.
Yes, sir. So, of course, my wife and my daughter, and of course, my parents, and my mom in America, they're all very, very close to me. So, the only way is I spend time towards teaching my daughter, because I think it's very important. My daughter is 9 years old, and I make sure that I'm engaged in her life, even though, however, and professional, of course, it takes a lot of time, but I really firmly believe that there is a time for everything, and if you have to really make time, okay, maybe I will have to put some stuff maybe for tomorrow or day after, but I think if you plan properly, I think you can do things. So, suppose now it's a lockdown, but before lockdown, I used to travel 15 days out of a month. But I remember, whenever I was in Calcutta, I would take my daughter to tennis classes, or take my daughters to her events or something like that, because I feel that gives me an opportunity to spend time with her.
Thank you, thank you. And we would like to know because you are very candid in all your thoughts. So,
No, no, sir.
do
And of course, and I have a rule. We always go to our parents' home on Saturdays, wherever we are at. I mean, thanks to
I
PwC,
understand. I
we are
understand.
home on
Yeah, yeah.
Fridays, Friday night, most
Okay.
of the time.
So, do you have any hobbies, book except
Yes,
book
sir. My
reading?
hobby now, my passion is to run, sir. And if
Okay,
God
that we
willing,
have
I want to run full
elaborated. We have
marathon.
seen the videos. So that hobby is we are already aware of your hobby. And if I ask you, after 43 years, which was the best moment of your life? One moment or two moments? Tell.
Yes,
Very
sir. The
quick, very
best
quick.
moments. So there was a lot of proud moments, like meeting the Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra
Okay.
Modi ji, and then, of course,
Next.
meeting Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
Next.
And then another one was actually when I met Sachin Tendulkar ji, and I really, really was moved by meeting him, because we spent at least good hour and a half together, and I was really, really admired his empathy level. Like, suppose that he knows that I'm blind, and when the media would take pictures, he would say, okay, Asif, can you look to the left or look to the right, or and he's such so down to earth, and there is so much to learn from him. And I remember, like, I was giving a speech in his functions, and then he was so he himself, he told exactly the same thing. He said, may I request all of you to stand up and give standing ovation. So, I mean, this feels really great, like, who is so well known, and they come to your level. I recall when, I ran that race, and I was going for breakfast, and he was coming out after the ceremony, and then he actually stopped his car, got out, waved hands, and got back in. And so, I mean, this really makes
Lot
your
of
day.
moments, lot of moments. Yes, I understand because in 43 years you have a lot of moments, and
And
uh, now we are almost at the fag end of our show. Once again, I'm telling you, I have one question: what will be your 3 or 5 agendas? What you want to take in the next 12 months?
Sir, of course, like I mentioned, I'm already a PwC professional, so I work with the government. But again, in my personal capacity, I would definitely like to take up an inclusive app. Like, if you shop on Amazon, I can also shop on Amazon. But if you shop on Big Basket, I cannot do that. So this is going to be my next thrust area, is to be equal access for everyone. Making the software developer realize the importance of designing for everyone. So not that they are doing a pity or sympathy. It is just makes business sense for them because it's in expanding their market reach. The second agenda that I'd like to follow is, of course, my goal is to be 78. I am now 83. So again, thanks to my coaches, I'm going to diligently follow this diet and rigorous exercise. And the third agenda I'm going to follow up, of course, I don't know whether marathon will happen because of the COVID era, but whenever it happens, I should be mentally ready to do 21K. And I am already in the process of preparing. And the fourth agenda is that this is close to my heart, is I would like to see, like in Delhi or Bombay, we have a dedicated parking for the disabled, what we call it handicap parking. I would like to see that in my own city of Calcutta. So for this, if I have to meet the honorable CM, I will make it a point to get that done, because I've been, I had this goal for some times, but I have not been diligent in chasing and follow up. So probably, I think now the time is right that we have to get, Calcutta disabled friendly. Over to you,
So
sir.
from this point, we take up another mission on behalf of our organization. If you can frame a policy document for us, we will take up first with the West Bengal government, and then we will take to other parts of the country. And for that, you have to assist us.
Absolutely, sir. So I already had concept note and everything, and it's not a huge concept note, and we
Okay.
can probably share this offline, and this would be a great mission to
Sure,
work
sure.
on, sir.
We will have queries on it. And
Uh,
just we are going to close our show. And before that, the closing remark from Asif Iqbal. 1 hour, two
okay,
minutes already passed.
okay, sir. All right. So closing remarks, I'd like to share a story, sir.
Okay.
The story is this: there was a boy who was born in United States in 1847. Just like everyone else, he used to go to a normal school, except he was not learning the way, like just like everyone else. The teachers were irritated because he was hard of hearing. Teachers got irritated to such day that the complaint was launched, and his mother came to visit his teacher. Teacher bluntly told his mother, "Look, your son is losing his hearing. It is waste of time. He is dumb. No point in sending him to school." Listening to this dialogue, his mother was absolutely furious, and he said to that teacher, "Maybe you are not capable enough to teach him, but I will personally teach him, and he will show the world what he is capable of." Friends, I'm talking about Thomas Edison, who has lost his hearing at the age of 12, but he had thousands of patents to his credit. And he also invented lights, which we all benefit through his innovations. Swami Vivekananda once said, "The worst thing in the world is not to lose your eyesight, but to lose your inner vision." So, friends, awaken your inner visions to be inclusive. Ignite your inner vision to do not underestimate the potential of anyone and include everyone and everyone. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Asif. It is really wonderful to have you in this show, and we do not know how 65 minutes gone. So,
Thank you,
with
sir.
the hope that we will have truly an inclusive society in not only in West Bengal around us, and you will be championing that cause. And one day, people will remember Asif Iqbal, that he ignited the minds of people, not only young, and he was instrumental in innovating so many things and thinkers. So with that, I thank you very much. I salute your spirit. I salute your 43 years life journey. I salute your determination. I salute your strong mental strength. I salute your family bonding. And with that, thank you, our audience, lovely audience who participated through several questions and who watched the show. And on behalf of Executive Committee, Public Relations Society of India, Kolkata chapter, we remain thankful to you that you have come to our show. And with that, good night to Asif Iqbal, good night to our audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.